Who in their right mind wants to spend $2,000 a year on textbooks? Hey guys, it's Zach here, and today I'm going to be doing an informal review of AMU's Bachelor's of Arts in Philosophy. If you guys would like to see a more formal review video where I compare this program to other programs that are similarly priced or that offer similar options, please let me know in the comments down below. This review is going to cover some of my own personal experiences doing the BA, and it's going to cover how well, from a philosophical perspective, the program prepared me for graduate studies in philosophy as well as graduate studies in a different field, the field of business. I did my BA at AMU, I did my MA in philosophy at Ohio University, and I'm doing my PhD in business at the University of the Cumberlands. So let's get into this. When it comes to coursework at AMU, there are a lot of benefits. Because they cater primarily to a military and law enforcement audience, in many cases they're a little bit more flexible on deadlines. They understand that, you know, if you're in some of these high-stress career fields, public services, police, firefighting, EMTs, or if you're in the military, they understand that sometimes you don't have complete control over your schedule. Sometimes you are being forced to work late on things that, you know, you can't leave. You know, if you're a firefighter, you can't be like, oh, you know, I'm in the middle of this fire, I've got to stop, go home and do homework. If you're in the military, a lot of times your schedule's completely out of your control. You've got no ability to say, hey, you know, I've got schoolwork, I've got to go home. You have to stay there until you complete the mission. So the folks at AMU, they're very understanding about that. Now, there are still deadlines, but in most cases, the majority of the professors, in fact, at my whole time at AMU, I don't think I had one professor that was ever unwilling to move a deadline if, you know, the situation called. And when I say that, I'm not, you know, saying that as someone who's trying to, you know, skip out on schoolwork or trying to avoid doing the work or anything like that. It's just, you know, when you're in the military, and I was in the military at the time, or if you're in a high stress position like policing, a lot of times you don't have control over your schedule, right? You know, if you're a cop, you could get a call in the middle of the night. You could be sitting at home doing your assignments, doing your schoolwork, diligently studying, and get a call and have to get up and go out the door, right? So that's one of the great benefits of AMU, is they're very flexible in helping you, you know, adjust to deadlines and helping you work around these obstacles that you might face in life. Another really great benefit of AMU, and one that's not talked about enough and that I wish more colleges did, is the cost of your books is included in your tuition. I've got here 3 books from a couple of my world literature classes. I've gotten rid of a lot of the other ones that I've had because I've moved around quite a bit. But your books are included with your tuition. So if you're studying something more expensive like business, or if you're studying, you know, one of the sciences where a textbook's going to cost you $200, that's a great benefit of AMU. Not having to pay for a textbook is going to save you a huge amount of money. And I can say that now as I've been through, you know, 2 programs that were not through AMU, both of them paid for by the VA, my Master's of Arts and my PhD. And in neither one of those programs were the books paid for. Now in my philosophy degree, my Master's in Philosophy, it wasn't too bad, right? Because in a lot of philosophy courses, you're studying from really old books, a lot of classics, a lot of things that are really easy to find. But in my PhD courses, in my business courses, oh, it's a nightmare. Textbooks are routinely $200, $150, you know. And if you're someone who's a full-time student, or if you're someone who's, you know, maybe not making as much money as you'd like to, then having that cost of books taken out of the equation is a huge benefit, right? Even if you've got a halfway decent job, who in their right mind wants to spend $2,000 a year on textbooks, right? So that's one of the great benefits of it. For my philosophy courses in particular, just like at Ohio University, we used a lot of classics. We used the staples, Plato, Aristotle, Descartes, Heidegger, Hegel, Confucius, and the way that they set up their philosophy courses is very good. It's very respectable, right? So when I came into my master's program, You know, I was there with some people who had went to schools that were much more prestigious, whatever that means, and I was able to keep up with them, and in some cases I excelled them just because AMU prepared me so well for the study of philosophy, right? Philosophy is one of those disciplines where it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of talking, but mostly it's a lot of writing. A huge, huge amount of writing. And that is one benefit of AMU's style, is that every single week you are writing somewhere between 10 and 20 pages of content. And it's one of those things where if you are having to write and write and write and write and write just excessively, then you are going to get a lot better at it. Another benefit of it is for AMU's asynchronous classes, the vast majority of their classes are asynchronous. Your coursework is going to be in exams, it's going to be in research papers, a lot of research papers, and it's going to be in a weekly forum research paper. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is one major downside to AMU as it exists at this point right now, and that's the fact that it is a private for-profit school. And in the educational world within academia, for-profit schools are really looked down on. And I think part of this, and this is again as someone who's now been, you know, at a bunch of other schools, I think part of this is due to the fact that a lot of professors, and it's mostly professors that run a lot of these schools, your public universities, your private, non-profit universities, a lot of these professors have never worked in business. A lot of these professors don't have experience really operating outside of academia, right? They will start their educational career, get a bachelor's degree, get a master's, PhD, and then in a lot of cases they'll go straight on to you know, being an adjunct professor or being an assistant professor or something like that. So they haven't had a lot of time working with and in private corporations. But you know, really businesses make the world go round. Businesses, they're a lot more efficient. They find ways to reduce costs for customers, for, you know, students, and they find ways to be very efficient. So like one great benefit AMU had that I haven't seen in any of the other schools I've been to is that they have listed, like in a database, all the books that are required for all the courses. Now every other college could do this, but a lot of them don't. I don't know if it's because the professors have a lot more leeway in choosing the text that they use, or if it is due to the fact that a lot of schools just don't want to invest the money in keeping up this database of books. But you could starting your degree from day one at AMU knowing exactly what books you're going to need and when, and also not having to worry about paying for them because it's included with the cost of your tuition, which is a huge, huge benefit. And another thing I will say is AMU, they're regionally accredited. That's the, you know, the best accreditation you can get. All of their sub-programs, you know, their business programs, their health programs, they're accredited by their respective organizations. So, you know, AMU's the real deal. They're not some fly-by-night University of Phoenix group that's out trying to rip people off. They're people who are dedicated to teaching and dedicated to helping their students succeed, and that is a huge benefit. You know, I've been at other schools, a college in Maryland, for example, University of Maryland, University College, where even though it's a public school, they didn't seem to care. You know, it seemed like everyone I interacted at that school in their various programs, they just didn't care about the students. They didn't care about, you know, education. Whereas I found, at least in my experience, that the folks at AMU, they're pretty passionate about their subjects. They're passionate about the things that they teach. After I finished my bachelor's degree, when I started my master's degree, I did have one professor in particular who had went to Harvard, of all places, and was very hostile to the idea that anyone could have gotten a good education from a private for-profit university, particularly one where all of the coursework is done online. However, you know, going into her class, I performed just as well as the people who had went to well-known public universities or well-known private universities. So her ideas were factually inaccurate. I was able to get a good education, and I was able to better prepare myself for my graduate studies doing this program. In some cases, I think that it was a strong benefit that AMU was asynchronous because I was able to complete my degree while I was in the military full-time. I wasn't a reservist, and I was able to gain a fairly strong education in philosophy. At this point, you know, I've did a master's thesis. It was an 80-page study on just war theory, and you know, I completed a 2-year master's program at Ohio University in 1 year. You know, something that even going into the program, some of the professors there thought was impossible. They did not think it could be done. So if you're someone who's self-motivated, if you're someone who's dedicated to your education, and if you're someone who loves philosophy and loves diving into some of the details and having active debates with your classmates, then I encourage you to go to AMU, and I encourage you to pursue your philosophy education further.
If you want to watch more videos, tap on subscribe to watch more.
All right.